Welcome to Real Estate Coaching Radio, starring award-winning real estate coaches and #1 international best-selling authors, Tim and Julie Harris. This is the #1 daily radio show for realtors looking for a no BS, authentic, real-time coaching experience. What's really working in today's market, how to generate more leads, make more money, and have more time for what you love in your life. And now your hosts, Tim and Julie Harris.
3, 2, 1, and we are back.
Welcome to the Tim and Julie Harris Real Estate Coaching Podcast, where we help you grow your real estate business by focusing on one key element, and that is listings. In a transitioning market with longer days on the market, confusing pricing, and increased competition, you need more listings to last. That's why we're focusing on centers of influence and past client lead generation. As America's #1 real estate coaches, we know that your favorite listings come from your past clients and friends because they already know, love, and trust you. That's why it's crucial to speak with your database systematically and consistently. And by doing so, you'll find that 10% or more will do business with you or refer business to you every single year. So just think, 10% of 100 is, of course, 10 deals. But 10% of 300 is 30 deals. It makes perfect sense to grow your list. But the question is, how do you actually grow your past client center of influence list? Well, according to the National Association of Realtors, NAR, 2021 profile of home buyers and sellers, 21% of home sellers found their real estate agent through a referral from a friend, a neighbor, or a family member, and 7% found their agent through a previous transaction. This means that nearly 30% of real estate business comes from centers of influence and past clients. Additionally, a study by Contactually found that agents who consistently follow up with their database can expect to generate one or more transactions per year for every 12 people in their database. In other words, a database of 300 people could generate 25 transactions per year if consistently nurtured. Now, you take that 25 times your average net commission, that'll tell you what the potential is. Join us every week as we dive into the strategies, techniques, and mindset shifts that you need to grow your list and succeed in the real estate industry. From mastering your messaging to creating a system that works for you, we've got you covered. So tune in, take notes, and get ready to take your real estate business to the next level.
All right, so regular listeners, we never start the podcast out like that, where we just read you something like that. But we ended yesterday with talking with you guys about ChatGPT. And I'm going to tell you, that whole introduction that Julie just read was 100% by ChatGPT. And I'm going to read you now what I put into ChatGPT for it to spit that out. Okay, this is all I put in. You need more. These are the key words, right? This is all I dropped in. You need more listings. You have to list to last, especially in a transitioning market with longer days in the market, confusing pricing, and a lot more competition. Your favorite listings come from past clients and friends because they already know, love, and trust you. When you speak to the database, past clients and people in your sphere, systematically and consistently, you'll find that 10% or more do business with you or refer you somebody that will. And then it's 10% of 100 is 10 deals, 10% of 300 is 30 deals. So it makes sense to grow your list, but how can you do this? All right, now we're going to talk about that. And we're going to give you a lot of drill down points on that. But here, as as attachment to yesterday's podcast, that is incredible because I just put what was essentially, some thoughts more than anything with a lot of keywords. I dropped those into ChatGPT and I asked ChatGPT to write me a podcast description, and it did what Julie just read to you. It went in and it found statistics from National Association of Realtors.
And Contactually.
It went in and researched. Now, I want you to notice something, and those of you who listened yesterday, you'll know what I'm talking about. The statistics were from 2021 is because ChatGPT only pulls data from the internet from 2021, but there is now a ChatGPT extension that will allow it to pull absolutely up-to-date, completely happened within a millisecond information from the internet. So just FYI, just to kind of tag on to what we ended with yesterday.
And by the way, that was read by real Julie. That's me. But in the future, probably there will be an avatar Julie. We're working on our avatars for the future. But I thought it was interesting. And it saved an epic amount of research. And, I had a side question for you. Don't you think it's interesting that ChatGPT is able to find stats from sites that normally we would have to log into, like Inman or Contactually or NAR? NAR has a login to get all of their newsletters and facts. I wonder how that is.
So what you're saying is, they're, in a nerdy way, is you're saying their search spiders are going behind paywalls, and actually, I don't think that's true. Okay. I don't think they are.
Maybe they're finding it as reported in other places.
That's what it's doing.
So it doesn't have to log in.
And did I showed you, I put it on Instagram.
Well, that's faster than what I do.
I asked ChatGPT who America's #1 real estate coaches are.
That's great.
And it actually said Julie and I, and it wrote something nice. I put that up on Instagram. So if you guys were wondering who, America's #1 real estate coaches are, well, you better trust ChatGPT, because if you don't, it's going to know you didn't trust it.
It's coming for you.
It's coming for you. That's right.
Exactly.
Wasn't there an Arnold Schwarzenegger movie that started out that way?
Terminator, probably. Yeah, I know.
All right, so we're going to take you guys through a very, very simple way, a very effective way, frankly, a fun way to build your center of influence and past client list. Now, this is just surface training. This is certainly not in-depth coaching. Many of you are living and breathing from the content from our podcast. And we've gotten so many of you over the years that have said that your real estate coach, I'm air quoting here, that you're paying for doesn't do you as much good as just listening to this podcast, and we appreciate it. With that being true, imagine how good the coaching program is. And we've made it easy for you. Just text the word Premier to 47372, and you can join Premier Coaching right now for free, or just go to premiercoaching.com. Remember, when texting, message and data rates may apply.
Yes, so today we're talking specifically about the expansion of your database. So based on how we started out this podcast, you now know that when you systematically talk to and nurture that database, you can expect at least a 10% return. Again, 10 deals out of every 100. Contactually says 1 deal out of every 12. It's basically a 10% return, which means the more people in your database, the better your return is going to be.
You know what? It's worth me telling this. This is something that you and I usually talk about on the podcast when we're talking about this, or in live events. We talk about it in the book. Mm-hmm. There are 3 filters that everybody goes through when they're trying to choose a service provider. And these are not the 4 filters when choosing a coach. This is interesting information. I believe this was done at one of the Ivy Leagues back in like the 80s or the 70s when this research was originally done.
We'll ask ChatGPT in a minute.
Yeah, exactly. We should just ask ChatGPT. It'll know. So here's, and I'm not going to remember the numbers exactly because I'm not ChatGPT. This is the real Tim, but I'll give you the gist of it. So when you're choosing, you need to hire a roofer, and your roof is leaking. You need to hire a roofer. You need to get the roof fixed. The first thing you're going to do, and everybody does this, is you're going to ask yourself, do I know a trusted roofer? Have I used somebody before? Do I have someone that I know that I'm going to hire because this person has proven to be reliable in the past? So the first thing that everybody does when they're thinking about hiring anybody to do anything is they always ask, who do I know? Now, if I don't know a roofer, if you don't know a roofer and you still need that roof fixed, the next thing that everybody does is they ask for a referral, in essence, from a trusted friend or an advisor. Yep. How many of you have asked for a referral for somebody? Julie does it constantly, right? Just in the past week, everyone goes to that process. Do you know a roofer? No. Well, I'm going to ask Bob, my neighbor, if he knows a roofer, right? I know Bob. He's got a roof that, doesn't appear to be leaking. He probably knows a good roofer. Now, then and only then, if you don't know someone, if your neighbor didn't know someone, then and only then do you respond to any form of marketing and advertising. Now, statistically, and again, I'll have to ask ChatGPT for the numbers, but in essence, something like 94% of everyone makes the decision who they're going to use based on someone they've used in the past or a referral from a trusted friend or advisor. And again, I wish I remembered these numbers, but if I remember correctly, it's almost split evenly between people using someone they've used in the past and using a referral from a trusted friend or advisor, which leaves less than 10% of anyone is ever going to hire someone based on branding, marketing, advertising. They're always going to lean primarily in to who do they already know and trust, or who does my great neighbor Bob know and trust that I can be leaning on.
And that's the end of the conversation, right? So for example, Zoe's dentist says she's on the fast track to needing braces, right? So where do I start? I'm going to ask the dentist who they recommend, and I'm going to ask a couple friends who their kids are getting their braces from, right? I don't then go looking for marketing and advertising. I've already probably made my decision. I'm going to look at 1 or 2 of those people. That's good enough for me because my friend or my dentist, my trusted friend or advisor says, you got to use this orthodontist. I'm done. I'm out. Decision made.
Do you ever find any service provider, or have you since we've moved to Puerto Rico, from an ad?
I can't think of any.
I can't think of any either. You were looking for a landscaper and you asked our neighbor Angel, but that's pronounced Angel in Spanish, and for a landscaper, and he sent you 3.
Yes, and our pond person came from our other friend, Tracy.
Yeah, exactly. You guys get the point?
Yeah.
But you all operate the exact same way. Now, when you move to a new community, if you don't know anybody, then you might lean into ads. And yet, how many of you are spending so much money, so much time trying to essentially, buy your business through advertising and marketing? How many of you believe that your way forward is through branding, right? You guys have been led to believe something that has never been true and never will be true, because humans primarily will always choose someone they've done business with before, assuming that person's done a good job, or a referral from a trusted friend or advisor. There's no amount of AI or no amount of technology that's going to replace that.
So that brings us full circle to you want to be the one that everybody knows. Thus, you want to expand.
Now, why? How do you get to know? How do you get to be a trusted friend or advisor? Or how do you get to be it so that Bob is referring you? You have to have successfully done a transaction with them before, and that's how they know you. They know you from past performance and success. Marketing and branding on social media, direct mail, and all this other stuff is going to put you into the category where only 10% of the available clients are going to even be searching there in the first place. And by the way, that is the most competitive area to go and try to basically generate leads. That's the reason it's so damn expensive, because so many other people are competing for that same attention. We're not saying don't do the marketing, branding, and the advertising, but what we are saying in real estate and many other entrepreneurial, service professions like real estate, like a lot of other things, you don't have to. And some of the most successful agents that Julie and I have ever coached, some of the most successful agents on planet Earth, do virtually no marketing and advertising because they get all their business from those 2 primary sources. They don't expect anything to come from the marketing and advertising. Frankly, and it doesn't. They get all their business from a center of influence, past client, or referral from a trusted friend or advisor. Over time, the marketing and branding can reinforce those relationships with the people that know, love, and trust you, or the referral sources. The marketing and branding might reinforce it, but chances are you would have gotten that business in the first place without sending a single postcard.
That's right. And here's the thing. Speaking of past clients, a category that, if we're being honest, most agents avoid talking to, and most of them will say, this is something I'm weak at. I wish I was better. Next year, I'll get better at talking to my past clients.
And why? It's because I don't want to be perceived as a pushy salesperson. I don't want to be perceived that the only reason I'm contacting them is for the sake of, I don't want them to think that the only reason I'm contacting them is because I want something from them. You guys have created, many of you have created this a massive amount of Mickey Mouse in your heads that you need to clear out. They want to talk to you.
And yet, how pissed off do all of you get when you drive past one of their houses with somebody else's sign in the yard? You get so angry, you get so mad because that was your past client. Well, if you're going to act that way, you have to actually be talking to them. And there's lots of different ways we talk about in coaching. One of the coolest things that one of my clients is doing right now, Tammy in Virginia, every 3 weeks or so, she's doing these themed dinner parties where she has 12 to 15 of different combinations of her past clients, her center of influence, people that know, love, and trust her already, but don't necessarily know each other. So she thinks of a fun theme. Like, I think the last one she did was a pasta party. So they all had different aprons on, and, it was really fun. And they just chat. And of course, organically, real estate comes up. Tammy's the real estate person. She talks about that. But she is being the connector, and she is taking seriously talking to her past clients. Now, the next part of this is how to systematically expand your center of influence. People who already know, love, and trust you and think about you as the real estate professional. So there's 3 categories to systematically expand your sphere of influence, your center of influence. People that are in your database. Part A, things you like to do anyway. Now, I lead with this because you're more likely to actually do it repetitively. These are hobbies, sports, arts, organized exercise programs like Orange Theory, Zumba, or CrossFit.
Let's stop there.
Yes.
Now, the importance of, and again, you being you, doing what you like to do around other people that actually like to do the same damn thing.
Yes.
That's what letter A was. You being you, doing what you like to do around other people that are liking to do the same damn thing, you're going to find people that are going to be instant friends with you. Oh, and you happen to be the person that sells real estate. Guess what you've just done? You become the real estate agent.
Only if you talk about it, though.
They're not going to stop when you're at the, let's say, for example, you love dogs and you go to the dog park every Saturday or, twice a week or whatever it is. And you're now getting to know a lot of the other dog parents there, every time you go. And they're now talking with you about real estate. Do you think they're going to stop talking to you about real estate if you don't have 1,000 videos on Twitter or whatever? You guys get it? Because of that natural, organic conversation with somebody who has something in common with them already, that immediately puts you in one of those first two categories.
You have bonded with them.
Exactly.
They now trust you, which puts you in that category that you were just talking about. Who do I already know who knows something about real estate? Oh, you know what? That Tim guy that walks those crazy French bulldogs all the time, he talks about real estate all the time.
And look, you can do this playing golf, not necessarily great unless you're playing golf with different people every time. We think that any kind of organized fitness thing that's a class environment is great, provided you talk to people.
Yes.
Some of you will show up at the gym with your earbuds, your hat pulled up like you're some sort of serial killer, right? And you'll walk in there, you won't make eye contact.
Not approachable.
You'll make no eye contact with anybody. You won't say anything to anybody. You'll get your exercise done and you leave. No, you just failed at actually the whole damn point of going to the gym aside from the physical workout that hopefully you guys got. You get it? I mean, if Julie and I are to get back into real estate, Julie would be doing music things. I would be doing car things because we love those things. We would be doing, which we already do, tons of things with Zoe. And we'd then be meeting parents. Mm-hmm. You guys get it? People want to do business with people that are like them. You are like a lot of people, probably.
Probably.
Okay? So you might as well put yourself in their way so they can get to know you. Because as soon as they know you from, Zumba or whatever, or Orange Theory, you instantly have a special place in their heart because of the fact that they and you go to Orange Theory together. They and you suffer through Orange Theory together. They and you now have something in common.
You're
you
the
bonded.
same. They trust you.
You guys get it? To use sort of modern vernacular, you're part of their tribe.
Yes, and here's the proof. When you look at that beautiful, amazing, kick-ass new listing, and you go, how did that agent get that listing?
I've never heard of that agent. They don't have 16,000 followers on YouTube.
How'd they do that? Well, there's the answer.
We just
Somebody
told you.
knew them.
Yeah, we just told you.
There you go.
They go to CrossFit together with the seller. That's how they got that business. And yet you are spending all of this money on your branding and your marketing, and you're not realizing you're making it too damn hard.
Or worse than that, you're just waiting for the market to bounce back and produce leads for you.
Exactly. Or you're buying leads.
Yeah, so stop that. All right, point B. Again, we're talking about the three categories to systematically expand your sphere. The first thing was things you like to do anyway. The second thing is business networking for the sake of networking. These are things like BNI, that's Business Network International, or in addition to your Chamber of Commerce. Toastmasters is great because that forces you to speak in front of people. Entrepreneurs clubs, investor clubs, neighborhood associations like your own HOA, for example. And you can find a lot of this on meetup.com and in your local newspaper and Facebook's, different associations there. Some of them private, some of them public. But business networking for the sake of networking, where it's even more okay to talk about real estate.
I respectfully disagree with you, my love, on the HOA thing.
Well, okay, so again, this is a podcast. This is not coaching. When we do this in coaching, we talk about if you're going to be part of your HOA, you don't want to be the president, you don't want to be the vice president, and you don't want to be the secretary or the treasurer. You want to be the HOA representative at large who is the liaison to the neighborhood and doesn't have to do all of the egregious actual work of being on the HOA.
Don't seek any position of power.
You're going to lose every time on that.
Just seek a position of influence. Don't make it so that you're ever saying no to anybody. Because I have had coaching clients, I'm sure you have too, who got on the HOA and for whatever reason they're the wrong side of a popular,
vote.
Exactly. And then they never got business from that community again.
Yeah, that is a slippery slope. That is true. Okay, so C, I think is the most fun, and that's charitable events, right? So this is auctions. That could be art auctions. You and I like go to car auctions, food drives, toy drives, fundraisers, school charities, church charities, functions organized by people in your database. You don't have to create the event, but you should be supporting other people's events instead. This can be a lot of my coaching clients right now have kids in school and they're doing stuff through the PTA, or they're going to soccer games or creating databases of soccer moms and dads. There's lots of different things you can do here, but the charitable events, you can concentrate on some higher end stuff like art museums are great, things like that. It also makes you a more interesting person to know more about that type of stuff.
But again, if you're in most of the country, the school events, those are amazing.
Yeah.
The church charities, synagogue, mosque, those are amazing. Anything that's going to put you in a position of being of service to other people, where you're around people that you have this common element of religion, let's say, or the common element of your kids going to the same school. Sandy Rains, when we were selling real estate in New Albany, she got a ton of business because she used to coach for the women's or for the high school girls swim team.
Yes.
Because her daughter had swim on the swim team.
Tons of
but
business
she
from
kept on coaching for the swim team even after her daughter graduated from high
yeah.
school. And that was brilliant.
Great. Absolutely.
Completely.
And if you're talking about events, you don't have to be the one who organizes and puts it together and funds it, but you should know. And how are you going to know what your people in your database are doing? Well, point number one was talk to them more frequently and be in support. John Walkinshaw in Canada is fantastic with this. He does, what is it called? It's like Prayers with the Mayor. I think it's called Prayers with the Mayor. He does something like that where he didn't create the event, but he actually prospects his database, inviting them to the event. He does another one for a golf tournament. This is a way that he uses to connect with them first about the event, and then, of course, talk about real estate later.
Well, let's talk about the pumpkin thing. This is your idea. This is something we've given to billions of you, and a lot of you guys are doing now Pumpkin Fest. What did you call it? Did you call it
I
Pumpkin
think it was
Fest?
Pumpkin Fest, and that one was one that we put together. We had some help from some past clients in our team on that. But basically what you do, and you need to be organizing this around about August, maybe September at the latest, you should connect to your local pumpkin farm, which almost everybody, maybe if you live in Arizona, there's not pumpkins, but almost everybody
You
has
can
pumpkins.
buy massive crates of pumpkins.
And you can buy them wholesale.
But what her point is if you order them too soon, and you got to put the pumpkins someplace, and they're going to rot.
Yeah.
So you got to time this out.
And you get a better deal because they're looking at their piles of pumpkins going, I got to sell these things.
Right. Now, we lived in the Midwest and, Central Ohio, so us finding pumpkins wasn't that hard to adjust accordingly. But we started this out in our front yard. We lived in New Albany.
So in our neighborhood, which we sold in the New Albany Country Club, so the first year we did it, I think we had 200 pumpkins. It was like 2 trucks, and you and my brother and I, maybe Coach Rochelle, unloaded all those one morning.
We did, but we put them all over the yard.
All over the yard.
And we gave them away.
Yeah.
And we asked for people to bring by canned goods.
We turned it into a food drive.
Yeah, we gave that food to the local food bank. But I remember on the first one, correct me if I'm wrong on any of my details, that we got so many cans of food that the original people that we wanted to give the food to actually said it was too many cans and they couldn't handle it.
Yes, because the community rallied behind that. Now, the cool thing about the pumpkin patch, and get permits if you need to get permits for your neighborhood.
We did it at the local elementary school.
That was the next year because it had gotten to be so big. The cool
Right.
thing is, at least in most of the country, right? It's October, it's getting cold. I don't know about you, but driving out in the country to some mud pit with your kid to get pumpkins is more egregious than sticking to your own neighborhood, popping by for 10 minutes, seeing your neighbors and chatting about all things in the neighborhood. It was it was more convenient. It was easy to get a huge turnout. Remember, we even sold the bales of hay like before noon.
We did.
We were out of everything before noon.
We were.
And then this became bigger, so we partnered with the elementary school. We eventually added the Red Cross blood drive.
Well, let's talk about that. So we made one call to the principal and she's of the elementary school, and she said we told her what it was for.
Yep.
We were pumpkin drive. People were going to donate. Canned food, and then no money was exchanging hands, thus avoiding sales tax, guys.
Yes.
Thus avoiding bureaucracy.
And making change and all of that stuff.
Thus avoiding all the silly licensure crap because we're giving them pumpkin, canned goods, boom, you off.
Charitable event.
Right. So the pumpkins were dropped off. Pumpkins go all over this field. Then we had the idea, well, why don't we involve the American Red Cross? So we made one call to the American Red Cross, and they are incredible to work with. And we said, we are doing this pumpkin drive. This is what it is. I think we had to fill out some, simple form. American Red Cross said, and the elementary school said, you can use these different classrooms. We'll put up gurneys for people to go in and donate blood. We had never done that before. We didn't know what to expect. So here's what happened. What I'm about to tell you was amazing, and you guys should all be doing it. American Red Cross is so damn organized when it comes to blood drives that what they did is they agreed to participate in our blood drive. No money is being exchanged hands. They're just going to be there to, collect blood. They then show up. It was essentially like the military showing up,
Yeah.
There are probably 10 nurses. I don't remember all of it. I was too busy hauling pumpkins. Showed up and set up all these gurneys in the hospital, in the elementary school. But prior to the blood drive, they proactively telemarketed one call at a time into that community, inviting people to the blood drive.
Their database.
They actually called their database and were cold calling, inviting people to Tim and Julie Harris's pumpkin drive, and the local paper picked it up. And the amount of attention we got from that was extraordinary. And I bet you that cost us maybe $1,500. And I bet you we had that underwritten by our title company, mortgage company.
We did.
Right.
Yeah, and really that was just the cost of the pumpkins, because the Red Cross, I don't remember paying them anything.
Right. And Julie and I, our coaching business took off. We eventually moved out of Columbus, Ohio. But we still had people for years afterwards.
I hear about it today.
Today, asking about the pumpkin drive. So that is an idea we just gave to you that you should run with. Start it small in your front yard and scale it up as the years go by.
But look how I think we didn't probably appreciate it at the time, but what we were doing was connecting all of these different elements from our community, from our database. Our past clients were involved. Remember, we involved Starbucks at a certain point.
We did.
Okay, so Tristan, who ran Starbucks, was a past client. It was in our farm neighborhood, New Albany Country Club. We had listings and sales in there. We'd had open houses in there. And we were involving people from our own database. We were involving the school, which was expanding our database. We utilized the Red Cross, who prospected for us. There's a lesson in that as well. So I think part of this expansion of your center of influence should be to support people that are doing things and help them to support you and connect all those dots.
You guys see, this is not marketing, advertising. This is actually about being
of service.
Of service to other people on a mass scale. Something else that we did, buy or sell with me, adopt a pet for free.
That was fun.
So we did this starting our second year in business. And what it was, essentially, unfortunately, there was a fair amount of bureaucracy attached to this. But we went to the Capital Area Humane Society, which was the main humane society in Columbus, and we said we want to pay for the adoption fees of a cat or a dog or whatever for everyone that buys or sells real estate with us. And we were selling between 100 and 200 homes, and we had no idea how many people would take us up on the offer to go and adopt the pet and have their adoption fees covered. Humane Society was open to it, provided that the people wanting to adopt the pet qualified. They didn't want to...
Which was basically filling out a survey that you were going to spay or neuter your pet, that
Right.
you were going to take care of it, that you would surrender it back to them if you ever couldn't take care of it. It was just basically their pre-qualification form.
Right. But from that, what do you think happened? Julie and I were all of a sudden buy or sell. We took listings. We had people do business with us because of the fact that we were involved with the Humane Society.
Who would not have otherwise called us, I think.
Right.
They would say that was the reason.
Right.
Because that's important to me. And I thought it was really cool that you guys were doing that. So that's why you're here talking to me in my dining room about listing my house.
Exactly. And my 14,000 cats.
Yes. Beware, you may get the dreaded cat house as a result.
yeah.
But that's okay. We embrace that. So
How did
that was buy or sell with me, adopt a pet for free.
How did we originally learn about all this? You guys will all end this podcast today because it'll make you guys laugh. So Julie and I have been married for 32 years this year. When we first got married, like the second year, we decided we wanted to have a couple cats. Well, okay, kittens would be kind of fun. And, I grew up with cats, so, whatever. Julie didn't, sort of had no background, but she was, we went to the Humane Society. And we went to the Humane Society on a day that they were doing buy one, get one free.
Yeah.
So somehow we ended up with...
Not one, not two, not three, but 4 cats.
Yes, 4 cats.
I don't know what we were thinking.
For years, we had 4 cats. And let me tell you guys, those things, they're not that much fun when they get older.
No, they get a little stinky.
They do.
Yeah, but they were fun, especially as kittens. We
They
have
were.
lots of great stories.
But
from
that's
our
how we
kittens.
got to know originally how the Humane Society worked
Yeah.
and all the rest of it. So we were real animal people. This wasn't contrived. But so many of you, you could do so many different things, whereas you being you around people that are like you with common interests, and you're naturally going to start attracting people to you.
Well, and those of you who, we're not saying don't do the social media thing. We're saying don't rely on it. Don't look at it as a spoke. If you want to do fun videos, that's a great way to do it. Highlight what you're doing with the charity. Use a video to invite everybody to your event. It just expands from there. And I think this is a lot more fun. And you want to make a lot of contact on one day. Think about how many people you're going to talk to.
Well, the social media stuff, ultimately, what it does is the online stuff reinforces the offline stuff.
IRL.
For example, yes, thank you, Zoe. So if you're, for example, doing the charity and you're doing your pumpkin drive and you're involved the Red Cross, well, you're obviously going to talk about that on all your social, but you're then going to try to expand your social reach with other people in the community. And then you're then staying in better contact with them over time. I mean, Julie and I have people that will come up to us and start talking to us about stuff they saw us post on Instagram or whatever. And a lot of you guys experience that as well. But you got to see it for what it is. It's supposed to reinforce the real work of real estate, which is you being you, having real estate conversations with as many different people as possible, and not thinking that the marketing and the branding is going to replace the need for you to have direct.
Or do that for you.
Right, exactly. Do you guys understand how misaligned many of you have been taught to be with the realities of how to be very successful in any business? The social media, the AI, the video, all of that stuff is amazing. I wish we had that when we sold real estate.
For sure.
But it never will replace direct contact with real humans, you being you, helping other people. You guys get it? Hopefully you do. I know you do, because this is the number one listen to daily podcast for real estate professionals in at least the United States. So tomorrow we are going to hopefully do a phenomenal job for all of you, sharing with you what we feel are the most important OpenAI or ChatGPT, same company, extensions. And we're going to tell you what they are. We're going to tell you why we think they're important. And we're going to tell you ideas on how you can use them in your real estate business. And if you are not incredibly optimistic about the future because of how AI is going to liberate you from the boring, monotonous, low-paid tasks of your life in real estate business, listen to tomorrow's show and you will be. Guys, again, it is our pleasure and it's our honor to be your podcast host. Now, you want the real surprise? This entire podcast was done by AI. Julie and I haven't said a thing. No, I'm kidding. But hopefully in a year.
I know. Exactly.
You guys have a fantastic day. I'll talk to you on the show tomorrow.
This podcast is a part of the C-Suite Radio Network. For more top business podcasts, visit c-suiteradio.com.